New York Giants fans, what is going on? You are watching New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green, and it is the final Week 2 preseason game, New York Giants versus the Cleveland Browns. The Browns won 17-13, but we are 1 week closer to seeing Daniel Jones and maybe even Saquon Barkley next week against the New England Patriots. But first, let's revisit the Week 2 game versus the Cleveland Browns. The Browns did pull away 17-13. Almost a comeback for the New York Giants, but it fell short. There were some things that did impress me. Mike Glennon, 10 for 13, 86 yards. Big play, David Sills, another big game, a touchdown grab. And Devontae Booker just popped off the screen. Unlike last week, he was one of my losers, but following Week 2, he did improve his stock, and I think he is in the lead to be the running back 2 for the New York Giants. But before we get any deeper into this game, I want you guys to sound off in the comments. Let me know, what was your one-word reaction to today's game versus the Cleveland Browns? For me, it was because it was kind of boring. It was a slow-paced game. None of the Giants starters really played. Xavier McKinney was only the big name to play. But go down in the comments and let me know what you guys think. This is why you subscribe to New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. We are breaking down games minutes after they happen, and we have a video up on YouTube for you guys to watch minutes after it happens. With the season rolling around in a couple weeks, we will continue to do winners and losers videos following games, and we will do game recaps just like this. So go down and smash that big red button and subscribe to New York Giants Now to stay in the loop on the latest news and rumors surrounding the New York Giants throughout the 2021 NFL season. Mike Glennon, QB1 of the preseason so far for the New York Giants, played much better this week than he did last week against the New York Jets. 10 for 13, 86 yards, and he led the Giants to a scoring drive. Glennon, he's a veteran. He's going to make all the throws you need to, but he's just not a game breaker, but that's why he's a backup quarterback. I like what I saw from Glennon today, and he needs to build upon that so the Giants have some security and a little bit of strength behind Daniel Jones if he falls out to an injury like he did last year. David Sills, another guy that I am impressed with and have been blown away so far with his preseason performances. 3 receptions, 31 yards, a TD late in the fourth quarter, kind of on a back shoulder fade. He just shows you what he's able to do when the ball is in the air. He's a big receiver that's able to stretch the field and a guy that's competing for a roster spot. And it was shown that he is in the lead because he didn't really play all that much in the fourth quarter late. So you're kind of seeing what Joe Judge is saying, and I think David Sills has a good chance to make this roster. Another guy that I was really impressed with, Devontae Booker, the free agent signing from the Las Vegas Raiders this offseason. He's supposed to be the Giants' RB2, but if you watched last week, Week 1 of the preseason versus the Jets, you just weren't blown away. The guy really didn't pop off the screen, but you had to know he was probably reading the papers and he was on Twitter and he saw that New York Giants fans weren't impressed with how he played last week, and he came back and he had a great game. That first drive, he was falling forward for the extra yards, and the offensive line, they were actually creating holes and lanes for him to be productive. 6 carries, 27 yards, and he had the goal line leap for a touchdown. 2 receptions, also 13 yards. Shows some playmaking ability out of the backfield that can be a check down guy for Daniel Jones later in the season. But I want to know what you guys have to say. Running back 2 is still a question mark. I'm not sure exactly where this is going to go. Right now, I'm leaning towards Devontae Booker, whereas last week I was leaning towards Corey Clement. But go down in the comments and let me know. If you think it's going to be Devontae Booker, go down in the comments and type DB. And if you think it's going to be Corey Clement, go down in the comments and type CC. Speaking of another CC, Carter Coughlin, the second-round player, the edge rusher that is switching to inside linebacker, had another huge game and came away with another sack. This is a guy that Patrick Graham, the Giants' defensive coordinator, is going to be able to use in a multitude of ways to put pressure on opposing quarterbacks. He had a bull rush in the game today, and he got to the quarterback with ease, and he showed his pass rush traits and ability. And I think this is a guy that's going to be a toy for Patrick Graham to use to create pressure from the inside and also on the edge. Another guy that was bringing some edge rush ability today, Oshane Ximines, a guy last year that a lot of Giants fans thought was going to be a breakout player. He had some injuries he had to deal with and overcome, but today he showed why Giants fans and Giants brass are all in on Oshane Ximines, X-Man. 3 QB hits, a sack, and a pass breakup. He's a versatile defender that has pass rush traits, and I think is going to be a productive player for the Giants heading into Week 1 of the 2021 NFL season. But weigh in on this one for me. Who do you think is going to be a better player and provide a bigger impact in 2021? If you think it's going to be Carter Coughlin, go down in the comments and type CC. If you think it's going to be Oshane Ximines, go down in the comments and type OX. Elijah Penny, the fullback. You can't forget about guys like this. He showed his value on this roster, and with Jason Garrett calling the plays, you know a fullback is going to be on the field for a lot of the time. He had 2 carries today for 16 yards, a guy that the Giants trust to carry the rock and get those hard-earned yards, and he also had a reception for 7 yards, showing his value and why he's going to be on this roster heading into Week 1 of the NFL season. Penny, a fullback that a lot of fans aren't going to give a lot of credit to, but he's going to be a big part in Saquon Barkley breaking off those big runs that we're going to be expecting to see this upcoming season. Another guy that flashed and had an interception in the end zone, stopping a Cleveland Browns scoring drive, Quincy Wilson, a guy that's fighting for a roster spot. And when you're doing that, anytime you can force a turnover to get the ball back in your offense's hands, and more importantly, stop a scoring drive, is huge for you and your stock in trying to earn a roster spot. But when you have an ankle injury like he did and he had to leave the field, it's not so good for you, because the Giants had to have some players come in, like Rodarius Williams, come in and play safety because Quincy Wilson was hurt. And I think that's big and telling for Rodarius Williams, because the Giants in the first preseason game played him a lot in the slot, which he wasn't doing much of in Giants camp. And now they trusted him and moved him to free safety. And when you're a 6th-round pick and the Giants are playing you at outside corner and slot corner, and now at a single high safety, that tells you all you need to know about this guy. I think Rodarius Williams is a lock for this team, and I think he's going to make some big plays this upcoming season. Someone I think that's not a lock for this team and that could be cut this upcoming week is Sam Beal. Sam Beal, everyone saw the highlight. He was playing like a cover 2 bail, and he was lost in the sauce. The receiver came out of nowhere and just mossed Beal. Beal looked like he was just calm, cool, and collective and was going to go up easy for the interception, but the receiver cut right in front of him and went up and made Sam Beal just look like a fool. Sam Beal, the injuries have held him out of play his first couple seasons in the NFL, and his play hasn't helped so far. So expect for Sam Beal to be cut when the Giants have to cut their roster down from 50 to 53 men. A surprise of the game, wide receiver Matt Cole, who had 3 tackles. Why did he have 3 tackles? Because the Giants put him in at cornerback. This is a guy that is just made for Joe Judge. Joe Judge, someone that came over from New England. You have to be from New England if you're going to play a receiver at cornerback. And it just showed that Matt Cole is willing to do everything he can to cement a roster spot. That's pretty unlikely because the Giants are deep at receiver and even deeper in the secondary. But when you can play receiver, special teams, and slide in to play cornerback, that just bodes to how good of a football player you are. And to see Matt Cole out there, I thought that was pretty cool. A guy that I also think could be cut in the coming days is Devontae Booker. He was in on the offense's last drive of the game. And whenever that happens, it's not good for your stock on this roster. Devontae Booker, he's competing in a deep wide receiver room, and he just really hasn't made the plays and has been outplayed by David Sills and C.J. Board. So I think Devontae Booker is nearing the end of his New York Giants career. Looking back on the score, Giants 13, Cleveland Browns 17, the second loss for the New York Giants. But it was some things after the game that was said by Joe Judge that I think is pretty important. The Giants, they were in a joint practice this week with the Cleveland Browns. Next week, they will be with the New England Patriots. But Joe Judge said he held the starters out for their health and their well-being, and he didn't want anybody to get hurt. I like that, but the Giants are a young offense that needs the reps. And what I loved out of hearing Joe Judge say is that next week against the New England Patriots, he will be treating it like a regular season game. Next week, New England Patriots versus the New York Giants, a familiar matchup. Two of the best NFL games ever played were once the New York Giants and the New England Patriots. So go down in the comments and let me know what you guys think the score may be. If you think it'll be 17-14 like one of the Super Bowls once was, go down in the comments and let me know.